Ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese, Ghostly Tales from Liao Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you 3 short stories. The first story is titled Uncle Gene. There is a Aunt May shrine in Kuaiji, where a goddess is worshipped. It is said that this goddess's surname was Ma, and she originally came from Dongguan in Guangdong. When Ma was young, she had been betrothed to another, but unfortunately, her fiancé passed away not long after their engagement. Heartbroken, Ma swore never to marry and remained single until she passed away at the age of 30. In memory of her, her kin built a shrine and honored her as Aunt May. In the 13th year of the Xuanji era, a man from Shangyu named Jin Sheng was on his way to the capital to take the imperial examination. He passed by the Aunt May shrine and decided to stop and visit. Though the shrine was peaceful and majestic, Jin Sheng, with impure thoughts, looked at the statue of Aunt May and let his imagination wander. That night, he dreamt of a young maid who came to deliver a message, saying that Aunt May had summoned him. Half in disbelief, he followed the maid to the shrine, where he saw Aunt May standing beneath the eaves, waiting for him. Aunt May greeted Jin Sheng with a graceful bow and said, "I am deeply grateful for your admiration, and it is difficult for me to let go. If you do not mind, I am willing to give myself to you and serve you." Jin Sheng was taken aback at first, then quickly agreed. As Aunt May bid him farewell, she said, "Please return first, and when my temple is complete, I will come to welcome you." After waking up, Jin Sheng regretted his actions and felt disgusted by his own frivolity. However, this matter did not end so easily. That evening, the local villagers all dreamed of Aunt May telling them, "Jin Sheng from Shangyu has become my husband, and you should also create a statue of him to stand beside me." By morning, the villagers began to discuss their dreams and discovered that everyone had dreamed the same thing. The clan leader was shocked and angered upon hearing this. He believed that this would tarnish Aunt May's reputation for chastity and firmly refused to comply. However, from that day onward, the entire clan fell ill with a strange disease, and no medicine could cure them. In a panic, the clan leader ordered a statue of Jin Sheng to be made and placed to the left of Aunt May's statue. Once the statue was completed, the strange illness that had plagued the clan miraculously disappeared. At this point, Jin Sheng fulfilled the words from his dream, "Come to welcome you." One day, Jin Sheng said to his wife, "Aunt May has come to take me." He then arranged his clothes and sat still for a moment before ceasing to breathe. His wife was heartbroken and filled with uncontrollable anger. In a fit of rage, she rushed to the Aunt May shrine. Upon arrival, she pointed at the statue of Aunt May and cursed loudly, her words vicious and unbearable. After finishing her tirade, her fury only intensified. She climbed onto the altar and slapped the statue of Aunt May several times before storming away. Afterward, the incident spread throughout the village, and to this day, the Ma family jokingly refers to Jin Sheng as Uncle Gene. In the final part of the story, the author offers this commentary. he says. Ma remained loyal to her fiancé, vowing never to marry for life. Such devotion and virtue are truly admirable. However, after being honored by people for hundreds of years, she suddenly changed her nature and willingly became someone's concubine. This is truly a cause for lament. Such absurdities are likely the work of spirits or foxes, taking advantage of the statue to cause mischief. After all, the shrine simply contains a clay sculpture. How could it harbor a true immortal? The second story is titled The Predestined Lifespan. In a certain place, there was a high-ranking official who, relying on his power, tyrannized the local people and committed many wrongdoings. His wife, however, was a firm believer in karma and retribution. She often advised her husband, saying, "Sir, good and evil will eventually be repaid, and you should think carefully before acting." But the official never listened to her words and would always retort, "What retribution? That's just a scare tactic." One day, the official heard that a fortune teller had come to town, one who specialized in predicting people's career paths and lifespans. Out of curiosity, the official decided to visit him. The fortune teller examined him for a long while, then suddenly sighed and said, "Sir, your lifespan still has some time left, but the end is approaching. According to my calculations, you will consume 20 stones of rice and 40 stones of flour, and after that, your lifespan and fortune will be exhausted." The official went home and told his wife about this. His wife carefully calculated and said, "Based on the average person's food consumption, you'd only eat 2 sure of flour per year at most. So, by this estimate, you still have over 20 years to live. But still, don't be careless, try to do fewer bad deeds." The official laughed heartily and waved his hand dismissively, saying, "Nonsense. If I believed that, I'd be a fool." With that, he continued to rely on his power to do as he pleased, showing no sign of restraint. A year passed, and suddenly the official fell ill with diabetes. Because of this condition, he was constantly hungry, able to eat as much as 3 or 5 people in one meal. But not long after eating, he would feel hungry again, so much so that his body would shake with hunger and he would have to eat again immediately. Eventually, he was consuming dozens of bowls of food in one day and night. The cooks in the manor were busy beyond measure, with rice and flour flowing into the pots, yet they could never catch up with the official's speed of eating. As a result, within less than a year, the official's condition rapidly worsened, and he eventually died from the illness. The editor also threw out a remark, saying, "Can lifespan really be turned into rice and flour and stored in the stomach?" The story seems absurd, yet it makes one hesitate to dismiss it. If those who abuse their power could understand that retribution is hidden in every bowl of food, perhaps they would commit fewer wrongdoings. The third story is titled The Ghost's Saliva. A man named Li was taking a nap in broad daylight when, suddenly, he saw a woman slowly emerge from the wall. Her head resembled a basket filled with tangled grass, and her long hair hung down, covering her face. She approached his bed and gently pushed aside her hair, revealing an extremely ugly face, fat, dark, and grotesque. Li was so scared that his heart almost jumped out of his chest, and he tried to struggle and escape. However, the woman suddenly leaped onto the bed, tightly grabbing his head. She kissed him fiercely on the lips and stuck her tongue into his mouth, gradually feeding him cold, icy saliva little by little. Li felt the saliva was as cold as ice, painfully chilling his throat. He wanted to resist swallowing, but he could barely breathe and had no choice but to swallow. The saliva was thick and sticky, blocking his throat. Whenever Li tried to breathe, his mouth would be filled with cold liquid, forcing him to swallow it again and again. After a long while, he could barely bear it any longer. Suddenly, Li heard faint footsteps outside the door. The woman then released him and turned to leave. After that, Li's abdomen began to swell, making it hard for him to breathe. For several days, he couldn't eat anything. Someone suggested he try drinking ginseng and reed soup, hoping it might help him expel the saliva. Indeed, after drinking the soup, Li vomited up a large mouthful of viscous, egg white-like substance, and his condition slowly began to improve. Alright. That's all for today's ghostly tales, Uncle Gene, the predestined lifespan, and the ghost saliva. If you enjoyed these stories, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.